Okay, this is an overview of using Draftsight or setting up Draftsight for working with computerized mat cutters. So let's look through this. When you can download Draftsight from a website, draftsight.com, and you can download it for Mac or Windows and different operating systems. The one thing with Windows is it no longer supports 32-bit operating system. It needs a 64-bit computer. All right, when you start Draftsight after you've loaded it, it looks like this. You may see it like this. So let's go through this. So standard menus up at the top, just like every computer program. Okay. All right. A toolbar that has the same kind of tools: save, open, print, those kinds of features. These are a specific toolbar for dimensioning, which as a picture framer you're not really going to need. This is a layer toolbar, which you will need. Think of layers as different mats in your stack of design. Top mat, second mat, those are going to have different layer names, and they're going to be created with this tool. This is the drawing window, and this tells you your axis orientation. This is just like a big piece of graph paper. We always draw on the model tab. We don't use the sheet tabs. You can just leave those alone. Over here on the right side are palettes. These palettes can be opened or closed. I prefer not to use the palettes. They take up too much real estate from the drawing area, and I'm going to show you how to change that once we get into this. All right, down here in the bottom area is the command window, and this command window shows you the commands that you've typed in or that you've clicked on with the various buttons. The very bottom bar tells you your version, what operating system, and down here we have certain tools like snap and grid and ortho, different modes. All right, so that's a general overview. Now, this tool is made for drafters and architects and people like that. We're going to use it in the art business, so we don't need every drafting feature under the sun. One of them we don't need is dimensions, so we don't really need this whole toolbar. So if I go up to the top and I right click, I can get a menu of choices, and I can customize. I can start customizing the way this interface looks. So I'm going to go to toolbars. I'm going to scroll down through here and see what I don't need. Well, I don't need dimensions. So if I take dimensions off and I hit OK, you can see that that toolbar went away. You can also drag toolbars, like you can see there's a double bar right here versus the single bar right here. If you put your mouse on it and you click and hold and drag, you can move the toolbar around. Well, there's also a close button now, so I can close that if I don't want it. Same here. Close that. Close that. All right. Over on the tool palettes, remember I said I don't like tool palettes. They take up too much real estate. So if I take this toolbar and I click on where it says draw and I hold down and hang on a second. There you go. Click on draw. I can move it around. Now if I move it right over here to the edge, you can see it makes a little parking space for this. So I put my drawing toolbar right there. And then my entity toolbar, or my snap toolbar, I put right there. Now what I'm doing, I'm not clicking on this title bar, I'm clicking and holding on any vacant space. So if I click and hold here, now I can move the toolbar. All right. And then the last one. So now I've gotten rid of this tool matrix. I've emptied it and I've put the toolbars over to the left. So if I close this, I get one of the other toolbars. This is where you get messages from Draftsight. We can close that. If you notice down below here, there's actually a thumbtack. This is for pinning the palette in place so it can't be moved. We're not going to use the G-code generator in our application, so we're just going to go ahead and close that. And then this properties toolbar, I like it. I don't like it over here. I want to put it over here next to where all my command buttons are. So I can just drag it by clicking on the gray bar, move over here, and see it makes a space to park it. Just let go of it. And now we have more space to work, and we're left-right thinkers. So anyways, that's the way I set it up. Now, each one of these toolbars can be customized. There will be icons on a toolbar that you won't use. And so if you right-click on a toolbar, you can go to Customize Interface. And then when the new window pops up, you can go to Interface, and you can customize the whole user interface. But let's say we're going to customize toolbars. And the toolbars have names. For example, the drawing toolbar that we were just looking at. Let's move this over. This is the drawing toolbar right here. If we click on the plus sign, we can expand it. And here's our commands that are in that toolbar. If we want to get rid of the commands, like for example, this one, I click on it and it's there. I can actually delete it. And now it's gone. And you'll notice it's still over here at the moment. But if I hit apply, then now my draw toolbar is one function shorter. If I want to add the tool back, here's the list. I got to squish this over here for you so you can see it. Okay. So you can see all this is adjustable. And I can find spline. And what I had was this one. And so I'll add that one. And when I drag it over on the list, the black line shows me where I'm going to add it in the list. And then I can hit apply, and it put that function back over on the toolbar. And then I can hit OK. All right. Sometimes this G-code generator is kind of annoying. It persists, so just close it. All right. So that's kind of how the user interface works. Spend some time and look at this toolbar. I've got line, arc continue, circle, circle tan tan. We'll talk about that. Circle through 3 points, rectangle, polyline, spline fit, and spline CV. You probably will not use these two splines. We can't do anything with splines. Everything to get into the various mat cutter softwares via the DXF file are lines and arcs and polylines. These are my snap tools that'll help me. End point, midpoint, center point. quadrant of a circle, apparent intersection. See how this one curve is gray? Maybe it's not exactly crossing the line, so it'll figure out where the intersection is, or the actual intersection between two hard pieces of geometry, or someplace near where you select on an object. Tangent to a circle, parallel, perpendicular. These are all useful tools. In editing, we need obviously to be able to erase or delete, copy, move, rotate, offset, mirror, pattern or array. Some people call it an array. A scale, stretch, split. Another version of split where you specify 2 points, not just one. Join them together or weld them. Extend one object up to another object. Trim off excess parts of an object that you don't want. Multiple or power trim. Polyline editor. Explode. Once you make a polyline, in order to work on it efficiently, you need to explode it. Multiple split, it's not the most used tool. Down here are some zoom tools. So zoom to extents. That means zoom out to show me everything. Maybe you drew something and it didn't show up on the screen, but it's out there in space and we need to find it and get rid of it. Zoom previous. Zoom to a window area which you indicate. Zoom to a scale. Now down at the bottom here, we've got snap. They're like choice buttons. Grid, if you want a grid on your screen. Ortho, if you choose this, that means you can only draw horizontal or vertical lines, no diagonal lines. This is polar, so you can draw lines at angles. Entity snap, I very rarely use polar, but it can be handy. Entity snap on or off. I very rarely use this one, entity tracking. One of the things, if you right click on a button, there's a menu and you can turn the settings on and you can make choices how many things you want to be able to snap to. All right, that's a quick overview of the arrangement and how I set up Draftsight. Now let's go into drawing a simple line. So if I want to draw a line, I click over on the line button on the left in the draw toolbar and I click it, and now down in the bottom it's acknowledging that we're drawing a line and it says here's your options. Well, we're not going to use this option, so we don't do anything, and it says specify the start point, so you can key in a dimension like 0, 0 and hit enter, and now you can see my rubber band line for where I'm going to draw to. If I just click on the screen, and I can click again and again, and when I'm done I can hit escape, the ESC key, and then it's done. If I want to delete something, I select it and I hit delete. Select and delete. There is an undo function at the top and it'll undo things. Now there's another way, there are a couple of ways to select. One, we just select on the item. 2, we draw a box over multiple items. So if I click and drag starting in the upper left or lower left and I go to the right, it gives me a blue box. And you see the entity that's inside that blue box does not get highlighted until it's completely within the box. So dragging in this and selecting with the blue rectangle from left to right is only going to pick up an entity if it's completely in the box. And once I click, now it's got both those entities. Okay, if I want to undo my selection, I hit escape. Now, if I click in the right and I drag to the left, either upper right and down or lower right and up, as soon as I touch an entity, it's going to select it. If any part of the entity goes in the box, it selects it. And now I can hit erase, and those are gone. All right. So those are some important basic things that you need to learn about Draftsight, how to arrange the interface so it works for you, and how to draw and erase and select items. Okay, that's it for this video.